Come on, I'm going to say it like the old folk. You say, we trying to get all of our ducks in a row before we move. And then after we moved, the ducks was in a row, but nothing happened. See, it's better to move on God's timing with your ducks out of line than to think you know more than God. Going through some struggles, and the word did not just impress you, but the word had an impact. In other words, when the word has an impact, it changes how you think, it changes how you talk, and it changes your choices. Don't tell me that you're being impacted by the word, but it's not changing how you talk. You still poor mouth the same way you did without God. Oh God, come on. See, I'm coming down your road. You don't want to hear it, because again, so many people are so set in their ways that when they come to church, again, many come just to be entertained. Can I tell you about folk who just love good preaching, but they ain't gonna do it? Can I tell you about people who love to hear good singing, but it's not going to impact their lives? But what needs to happen with God's people is that when God reveals something to us, it needs to impact our lives. And that's what this man does to me. He stirs my spirit. He lets me know that with God, all things are. I thought somebody was going to help me. I said, he reminds me that with God, all things are what? To him that believe. Tell somebody, you just got to believe. You got to believe, child of God. It may be tough, it might be rough, but you got to believe. You have to believe that whatever God spoke to you in your prayer closet, that he is surely going to bring it to pass. You have to believe that every prophecy is going to come to pass. They're going to come to pass even if God has to put death on hold. If God has spoken to do something in your life, then you have the power to tell death to wait a minute. God has not done in my life what he said he would do. Matter of fact, my enemies have not saw me reign the way that God said I would reign. Oh, they haven't seen me in headship the way that God promised me that I would be the head and not the tail. Come on, live above, never what? Beneath. But when the word does not impact you, listen to me again, it does not change your thinking. And that's when some of you still have the same mentality that you have. You're not allowing the word to impact your life the way that it need to. But when I look at this particular story and how this man allowed what he knew to stick with him, it not only impresses me, but it impacts me. And it causes me to think back to what God has done for me. Listen to me. Now, when I deal with the subject, stick to what you know. Number one, to stick means to be fixed, to be firm about what it is that you know. To be fixed, to be firm. When you're fixed and when you are firm, you are unmovable. Nobody, including the devil and his demons, can talk you out of what you know. Come on, I'm talking to somebody. I said you cannot be talked out of what you know. And what God did for you, the devil cannot convince you that it was a coincidence. Come on, I'm talking about you being fixed. Stick to what you know. Be firm about knowing the things that God has did in your life. Number two, when you stick to what you know, it says about you, not only are you going to be firm, but you are going to be very convincing. You are going to be very convincing. Notice in the text that the man was very convincing. He was sure about the things that he was talking about. See, one thing that bothers me is when saints testify, but you can sense in them that they're unsure about what they're saying. Oh, yes. You done heard somebody try to tell you what God did for them, but in their testimony, it's a little shaky. It's as if they really don't know if God did it or not. But I come to tell you, when I look back at some things that God did for me, when I go to tell you my story, I'm going to be very convincing. I'm going to be sure about who delivered me. I'm going to be sure about why I stopped gambling. I'm sure about why I stopped chasing women. I'm sure about why I stopped lying. I'm sure about what pulled me out of the club. I didn't just get tired of going, but God delivered me, and I'm sure about what he did. You better tell somebody, show he right, show he right. Oh, I wonder if there anybody in church this morning that you're sure about what God brought you through. You're sure that it was God that healed you and not the pill that the doctor gave you. Are you sure that it was God that blessed you? Are you sure that is his favor upon your life? Are you convincing? Be seated. I'm wondering, when you tell folk your story, are you convincing? When you share it with people on the job about what God has done for you, are you convincing? Are you sure about it? Because how many know there are times that you share your story and God will have you to share it with an unbeliever? Come on, he'll have you to share it, watch it, with a so-called atheist. Yeah, if you ain't never had that, God will have you to tell your story to somebody, and their comment back will be, well, I don't believe that God exists. See, will their opinion sway you? Will their theory of evolution change your mind? Will it cause you to wonder about the miracle that you say God did for you? Or will you be convincing? Will you be to the point to where finally you are operating with boldness? See, we have to be bold in sticking to what we know. See, when it comes to what God did for me, I tell it with great boldness. You hear me? I can be the only one around that's telling it, and I can have 5 others that don't believe. But I'll tell what he did with great boldness. Because I'm going to stick to what I know. I'm going to stick to what I know. See, we live in a time to where you have to be careful, because there are so many haters of God. So many haters of God's word. There are so many who are out to prove that God does not exist and that God is not real. Back to what I told you earlier when Jesus told his disciples, no, this is going to be something that God is going to get the glory out of. God is going to use this man to reveal his power. And see, sometimes, like it or not, we have to go through things. We have to go down roads that, if the truth be told, we really don't want to go down that road. We really don't want to have to go through that. But if God is going to get the glory out of your life the way you told him, get the glory out of my life. Don't sit there and act like you don't remember telling him that. You told him, get the glory glory out of my life. Yeah, Pastor, but when I said I was talking about a new car, yeah, but God was talking about suffering. He was talking about allowing you to go through something that without him you could not bear it. You could not stand it. But because of his power, watch, saints, he giving you the ability to get things done. You are able to bear it. And he lets you know this is for my glory. Come on, church. It's for God's glory. People doubt God's ability to protect them in the midst of a pandemic. Many folk doubted God's ability, watch this, to put a shield around them. They doubted that because so much was being said that this here is unstoppable. There's no protection from this. And it has saints of God doubting God's ability. Look how y'all looking at me. Some of you that are strong right now, this time last year, you wasn't going out the door for nothing. Come on. We doubted God's ability to shield us. Yes, we did. I'm trying to move on, but therefore look at me like, Pastor, I never doubted for one any bitty second did I ever doubt my God. If that's the case, then why did you act the way you act when somebody sneezed near you? Why did a runny nose cause you to get so nervous? Probably every one of us had a second or two. Even the deep saints. But see, you have to stick to what you know. See, God had to let this generation go through some things. Yeah, he did. He had to let this generation go through some things. So that when we get to heaven, we just won't be fascinated about Daniel. We just won't be fascinated about the Hebrew boy. We just won't be fascinated about the lion's den because we had our own den. We went through a pandemic and kept believing. We went through tough times, and I'm telling you, there's a reason God did not just rapture the church like so many wanted him to do. God said, I need you here. And I need y'all to stick to what you know. If you don't know science, don't talk science to nobody. Stick. If you ain't a doctor, don't use medical terms. Just stick. Come on, because some of us get caught up talking what we don't. I'm going to tell you now, God healed me. Where did he heal you from? Well, I can't even pronounce the word that they say what I was about, but I know I'm better.